Welcome to the Apple Insider Podcast. This is your host, Stephen Robles, and today we're going to talk about Apple launching a new Ask for Developers program, Apple Card savings account, metaverse Apple VR, got some MagSafe battery talk, and Joe Rogan actually interviewed Steve Jobs on a podcast recently. Kind of. We'll get to that in a minute. This episode is brought to you by Amazon Pharmacy, ZocDoc, it's a great pair right there, and Tart Cherry Gummies. And joining me on this monumental episode, number 444, my friend across the pond, William Gallagher. How's it going, William?
444. I love it. That's my lucky. Would you believe that's my lucky number?
Is it really 444?
It doesn't come up in dice a lot, but when it does, you bet big. Okay.
I can't. Wait a minute. I can't tell if you're serious or not. Is that really a meaningful number? Oh, okay. I was like, that's a large number to say is your lucky number. It doesn't come around. There's not even that many days in a year. You got to go like a year and a half.
No.
But you said that you are lucky because you actually have some new smart blinds or something. What did you get, William?
Well, they're kind of on the way. I have half of the gear here. The other half arrives tomorrow. I have quite a large office window. It's an awkward size. So I have had blinds and I've never been able to quite get them to set them down. So I went the smart blind route, except it would have to have been a custom built smart blind thing, and it was going to be £300 to £400 to do this to fit. So I gave up. I went, there's a retail outlet here called Dunelm, and I'm for £24, whatever that is in dollars. Whoa. Wait a minute, the way the pound dollar is going, that's probably about $3 at the moment.
Oh no.
I have ordered a kind of blackout blinds, but to go with them, I've got a thing called the Akara, I think it's pronounced. It's like a motor. Basically, It hangs onto the cord and pulls it for you. And that is going to be... I've got that. That's ready to be fitted to the wall as soon as the blinds arrive. And all of it. Partly, I mean, seriously, I want to keep the office warmer than it is because it gets cold in here and we have utility problems at the moment here. It's better to stay warm than to heat anything. But also, I am desperate for the ability to just call out into the air, hey, Iris, or a very similar name, shields up.
Shields up.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Man, you're getting a whole HomeKit setup. You're gonna be a special guest on the HomeKit Insider show. You could talk about that for now.
I'm aspiring to that.
Yeah, aspiring.
One button at a time. One Hue light bulb at a time.
I'm
getting there.
I will say right now, as we record, £1 is a US dollar, $1.14. So we're up 14 cents from you right now.
Weird thing is, this should make Britain a really attractive people to come over from the States and things. But honestly, these days, what would you come for? You know, it's very depressing around here.
I mean, the fish and chips, right? That's
Yeah, I mean, I am personally meeting everybody who comes. So,
well,
that's up or down. I don't know how you'll take that one.
Now that you mention that, first of all, I would love to travel there just so we could hang out. That would be a lot of fun.
That'd be good.
But we have so many listeners from Great Britain because a couple of weeks ago we said maybe everyone who listens to the show in Great Britain has already rated the show, like with 5-star reviews. And now we have a plethora of UK listeners that are saying, all right, I'll give you 5 stars now because you called us out. And so we have Mind Your Own from Great Britain.
Mind Your Own from
Great Britain. Yeah, we don't know what we're minding.
Great name.
It is pretty good.
Oh, I love that.
That is pretty good.
Okay.
Liu Jid from Switzerland, so another European listener, but then Sinky72 from Great Britain. Okay. And he actually supports on Patreon. Thank you for that. Stockton from British, but he lives in Finland.
Oh.
So I don't, he's a British listener. He's just living over there.
But that doesn't mean he listens in British, does it?
Well, only when you're on the show.
Okay.
But Lukey97 from Great Britain. Okay, look at all these people coming.
Oh, no. The Lukies. I know 17 of the 97 Lukies personally, and each one, I mean, more dangerous than the next. It's
that's mysterious.
It's quite a bunch there you've got. Yeah.
Okay. Now, CSTORMSC from Panama City, like Panama Canal, Panama. This is not Panama City, Florida.
Oh.
It's very confusing over here in the States. There's a lot of things that sound like things. He hasn't seen Ted Lasso either. So he's waiting for you. He's waiting for you to see it. And then finally, Collard84, also from, guess what, Great Britain.
Oh,
all these people living around you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm feeling guilty now for telling you how things are going when every one of these people might be having a much better time than I'm making it sound.
Well,
I'm the grumpy British guy today. I'm really sorry.
That's all right. Well, none of you have Apple Card yet. And that might be a reason to be grumpy, and because we actually have some new features that were just announced earlier today.
I heard about these. I thought he's going to talk about this. He's
Yes,
going to rub it in.
I'm not trying to rub it in. I wish you could have them too. I don't know what the deal is. Apple Card's working very hard at launching new Apple Card features in the U.S. Just nowhere else.
It's like America's where Apple is based or something. I just, what is up with that? So strange.
I'll have to do some research, but I think that's accurate. So we'll get to all that in a second. I do want to do some follow-ups. I'm changing the format a little bit of the show, William. I don't know if you caught on yet, but I like this idea of doing the follow-ups because we've got a lot of listeners reaching out during the week. So I'm trying to do follow-ups, and then you do the news, and then you do any longer form stuff at the end. I'm trying a new format here. Okay?
All right, that's cool.
I really want to get your thoughts on the Joe Rogan, Steve Jobs podcast.
Yeah, I listened to that.
Yeah, so did I. We'll get to that. Last week we talked about, is there a call time limit on iPhone? And had a few listeners write in. Michael Caputo, he's got a great YouTube channel also, but he said this is probably a carrier limit. So if you're on the phone, and we had a listener saying they want a greater than 8-hour limit to make a cellular phone call, not so much an audio FaceTime, but a cellular call. And Michael thinks that it might be a carrier limit. And so depending on your carrier, it might be 8 hours, might be more or less. So maybe check with your carrier to see. I mean, William and I, we'll leave the phone going and we'll have like a 9-hour phone call just, with each other, just not saying anything. We'll just
my bill is bad enough, I mean, no,
you still paying by the minutes? What are they doing over there in the UK?
Well, no, it used to. I love the fact that with all phone deals in the UK, you get some incredible number of minutes a month, and you've always got that since people are using fewer and fewer phone calls. So your minutes, I must have several million unused minutes by now. But it sounds to me like 8 hours calling Australia or something on a 3G connection could eat into that. Just a little bit.
There might be a limit. So that was interesting. Now, Andy L., he's asking about cases. We talked a little bit about cases last week. And I forget, William, I feel like you're a no-case guy, right?
That's true. Somebody, David Sparks, the Mac Paris guy, said once somewhere that his case is called Apple Care.
Yeah.
And I thought that was such a clever thing. I can't remember where that stuck in my head from years ago, but I nodded approvingly at that, and I am the same.
That is now a quippy response. I had a lot of listeners on Twitter when I mentioned cases. They were like, "My case is Apple Care." It's like, all right. I get it. I got y'all. Well, Andy is looking for a Pro Max case that has a leather bottom half but plastic see-through top, which sounds like a very unique design. I'm not sure, so I'm asking the listeners out there if you have any idea of a case like that, leather bottom, plastic see-through top, which would be nice because you see the color of the phone. But let me know, or let Andy know, so we can share that. I know the ATP guys like John Siracusa. He is very adamant that his iPhone case cannot have a bottom lip. He doesn't like bottom lips. He wants to be able to swipe up to home unobstructed.
Oh, I see. That makes sense. Yeah.
No case lip. So he uses John Siracusa. He uses the bull strap case. So that one has a bottom lip, but there's another one from Ryan London. I'll put this link in the show notes, but this is a leather iPhone case. They already make it for the 14 and 14 Pro. Leather case, no bottom lip. It's just got that open bottom. Like Apple's leather cases used to be like that. I think with the iPhone like 10 and 10s. Used to have that.
My wife Angela has a plastic clear case that she likes very much. I mean, it's just a cheap thing that she got, but it does everything she needs except every night she has to take the phone out of the case in order for it to connect properly on the Lightning connector. Just the tolerances are just slightly out. So I might follow this discussion and see if there's a Christmas present in her future.
There you go. Yes, that would be very good. I'm an Apple case guy. I get a silicone and a leather case every year for different purposes. And so I go between those. I also find MagSafe stuff works better with just Apple straight MagSafe cases.
Oh, right.
I've used cases from third parties that are like, yeah, it's compatible with MagSafe, but it's like, no, it's not really like strong enough to hold the MagSafe thing. Because we also had another listener asking, Brian Barletta, asking about MagSafe wallets. But actually, we'll get to that in a second because I want to talk about MagSafe battery packs also.
Right.
So we'll get to that. Some news. Ask Apple for developers. It's a new announcement from Apple. Apple announced that it's going to be doing an ongoing series. This isn't a one-time deal. This will be a repeated event but that they were going to be opening it up for Q&As and even one-on-ones so developers can ask questions as they're trying to make their apps. Apart from the WWDC moment, every summer there's like that, the big event and developers get to learn a lot, but a lot of times between the years or in the middle of the year, it's hard for developers to get that direct help. So this is actually launching October 17th through 21. It's going to be the first round of opportunities where developers can meet with Apple, ask questions directly, and they're going to be doing this regularly. And I've seen a lot of companies doing this now. Some companies call it like Q&A, some call it office hours, where like an expert from the company will be available either in a live stream or like a webinar style format. So I think it's fascinating. I think it's great that Apple's doing something like this. So what do you think?
Absolutely. I remember around the time of when WWDC had to go on, the keynote had to go on video. So developers were saying the video is very nice, but what they missed was that close interactivity. But not only with Apple engineers solving problems, also with other developers in similar situations. Right. And this sounds like it definitely addresses that one, the contact with Apple engineers. Although Apple's very careful, they do mention engineers, but they go with Apple experts, designers, and evangelists, which feels like they're compartmentalizing a bit. And maybe you don't have developer to developer contact, but we'll see. There's also a reference to how somehow, and I don't understand why, I don't understand how, developers will be able to engage with other developers around the world. And it's not clear to me yet how that would happen, but if they can do that as well, then this sounds like a great thing.
It will be interesting. I know sometimes I've actually hosted office hours for companies where it's kind of like an open invite. You send an email to users of a product and say, there's an hour, office hours, we're going to present on this specific topic. I imagine for Apple, it would be like, here's some info on this API. We'll spend 15 minutes talking in depth about this API that developers might be interested in. Then we'll open for questions, and the questions could be like a live chat box where maybe developers can type in it and questions, and Apple will answer them live via video. And in that sense, developers might be able to talk to each other in that chat thing. Or I'd be curious. I'm curious how they do it. Like, is it a live stream? Is it chat boxes? So I think it's really interesting. Again, it's next week as we record, and so we'll know more after that. But pretty cool. I'm glad they're doing it.
It feels like an experiment, the fact that the first one is so short. I thought at first that was your registration period, but no, that's the total period for this now, and there's no other dates announced. We know there will be some. I imagine they'll try things out and it will grow and grow.
Yeah, and
if it works.
And actually, I found the direct page. So it's introducing Ask Apple. I'll put this link in show notes, but it says Q&As, get your questions answered by Apple experts and engage with the developer community through text-based group chats in Slack. We'll focus on optimizing experiences for new platforms and hardware, from supporting new features like Dynamic Island to migrating to Swift and Swift UI. Then it has a list of topics that are going to be covered, like accessibility and inclusion, app services, App Store, some pretty broad topics there. And then there's a register button for that. And then a second aspect of Ask Apple, which is going to be office hours. And it says here that you can request a one-on-one 25-minute consultation on creating and distributing great apps. So you can register for that one-on-one 25-minute session, or the Q&A, which seems to be, text-based group chats. And see, I would think developers could interact with each other there. That's pretty cool.
It sounds really good. Yeah, great. Good on them.
It is very cool. I will say, when I was at that podcast movement back in August, the Apple Podcast team did a similar thing where you could actually book a 20-minute session to talk to the team and talk about different things. And it was really cool. I mean, I feel like this is another sign of Apple opening up a little more to the outside community, not just, people covering the products like video and YouTube and all that, but to developers and other, just more user, like kind of widening that base of open communication with the outside community. So I think it's very cool. Very cool. Speaking of things that are not open to the wider community, though, Apple Card.
Oh, that old thing. Is that still going?
The Apple Card. Yeah. Another announcement this week is that Apple Card users will soon be able to take their daily cash rewards and put it directly into a high-yield savings account from Goldman Sachs. So if you use Apple Card, sorry, William, I mean, it's not available. It's not, you can't talk about it. But when you use the Apple Card, you get daily cash. If you buy something from Apple, either online or in the store, you get 3% cash back on the purchase. If you use Apple Pay at any merchant, like your grocery store or whatever, you get 2% daily cash back. And if you just use the card non-Apple Pay, just swiping it like at a restaurant, you get 1% cash back. And so this will be a new feature where typically, like when I use the Apple Cash Back, you can use it in your payment towards the card. So whatever you're buying directly from Apple, you could basically consider it 3% less because you can just put that daily cash right back into paying off the card. Or this will be a new feature. It's not available just yet. I already checked, and I'll get to that in a second. But this will be a new feature where it will take that daily cash, and rather than applying it back into your payment or just sitting in the Apple Cash card, this will be put in a savings account from Goldman Sachs. And you'll be able to track it right there in the wallet app. And it'll be a nice little savings. I'm probably going to sign up for this. It seems pretty cool. Do you have daily cash there or Apple Cash in the UK?
We've got Apple Pay.
So Apple Cash is like in the wallet. You know what I'm talking about?
I know how it works, and I've been trying to avoid credit card usage here. I have one and I kind of use it for emergencies, and I know if Apple Card came out, not only with the cashback things, but also all the other features for money management, I would probably move all of my purchases over to Apple Card and just keep clearing the balance the way you probably should do with it.
Right.
But because we don't have that, because we don't have features, I know there are rewards that are available for it, and I think some of them are even better than Apple's Daily Cash, but I don't have them. No. Right. I just want to check. I think, because of what you said about coming back to something, I know what you're going to do here, but when you said that an announcement was made, it's almost like just half an announcement, because everything you've just said is true, but this high yield account, they've neglected to say what percentage that is, and also, when is it coming? It's in the coming months. I am sure something changed, something went wrong, and they were unable to put the details out. I mean, you think making hardware is difficult, but finance arrangements are impossible. I mean, ask the UK Chancellor. Things are really difficult.
Well, and that's also Apple Pay Later was delayed, which is another
that's true, yes.
Apple Card service. And so there are complications even in that. And Apple Pay Later was make a purchase, and you'll have 4 equal payments to pay it off, but Apple was going to handle the financing. I mean, quote unquote, Apple was going to handle the financing, probably through, third party, but that was delayed because it wasn't worked out. But Apple Cash, just to be clear, like if you're going to send someone money in like iMessages, that will pull from Apple Cash. And Apple Cash, the Apple Cash card can be connected to like a checking account. And so it will pull from your checking account to send money. And then when you receive money, like via an iMessage, then you can deposit that cash back into your checking if you prefer. Same way, if you wanted 3% cash back on an Apple purchase, you can just take that Apple Cash and put it in your checking account. But, typically paying off the credit card is just easier. Apple kind of does it by default when you do it. But like you were saying, it is not available yet. It's in the coming months. I went to my wallet app just to see. Like, I wonder if there's any information in there or if there's like a button for more info, sign up.
Yeah.
But I went in there and conveniently it said, your Apple Card's not available. And I said, what?
Hey.
Okay.
What?
And it was like all blanked out. It showed a picture of the Apple Card, and I'll make this the chapter art. It said, this card cannot be used. Remove this card and try adding it again. And then there was a red remove card button. And that's all it said in the wallet app. And so, as you do, I tweeted out the screenshot and I said, what's up? And Mike Worthley, like in seconds, tweeted back. Apparently, we already have an article on AppleInsider.com about this, what to do when you see this error, but you just remove it and then add the card back. And I was already in a text message conversation with Apple support, their business chat. It's like the gray text messages. And they were telling me to do the same thing. The reason why I was hesitant was because when you click the remove card, it says your transaction history will be removed.
Yeah.
And I was
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, I don't want to lose that. So what happens? But Apple said to do it. Even more credible, Mike Worthley said to do it. So I did it. And nothing happened. I removed the card. It was gone. And then I hit the plus button again. It said previously added cards. I tapped that. It showed the Apple Card. I tapped the Apple Card and it was back to normal. All my transactions were there. Apple Card was back. I could double click for Apple Pay to use it. So very strange. It must be some back-end thing, but a lot of people have experienced this. I had people on Twitter saying, oh yeah, happens all the time. I said, Well, that's weird.
Yeah.
That should not happen all the time. So it's just a little funky behavior, I guess, with the Apple Card and all that. So
I mean, I hadn't heard of that. I realise now you've said it, I did know about the messages sending, but I'd forgotten all about it because, of course, I can't do it. In fact, actually, I can't quite picture how this works. Would you like to send me $1,000 over messages so that I can screenshot it? And
yeah, let's see. I'm gonna text William Gallagher here. I'm pretty sure I got. Yep, there it is. Well, I got your iMessage thing right here. I'm gonna hit the Apple Cash button. William Gallagher cannot receive payments sent with Apple Cash at this time.
no.
So sorry.
Wait, are you just making this up?
Not at all. Not at all. I'm going to send you the screenshot right now. I don't know if you don't have Apple Cash set up.
Apple Cash is part of Apple Card, isn't it? So
No, it's separate.
how would I get to it?
If you go to the Wallet app, there should be an Apple Cash setup thing.
I've never seen this. Let's find the wallet.
Here we go. This is live technical support right here.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so sorry, William. It's not available in the UK. It's only in the United States. I thought Apple Cash was everywhere. Wow.
Okay.
Just kidding.
Apple Pay is, and I like Apple Pay very much. So let's just take a deep breath.
Just move on, I guess. Oh my goodness. Apple. Okay. Please, if anyone from Apple is listening, I think we have a lot of listeners over there. Let us know. When is Apple Cash and Apple Card and any Apple financial services coming to the UK? We want to know. It's been a long time. You could probably identify with this, but anytime you need to pick up a prescription from a drugstore, it is a terrible experience. Either you wait in the drive-thru and that can take a couple hours, or you go inside and there's huge lines there. Well, no more of that. That's why I love Amazon Pharmacy. Yes, that same Amazon where you get stuff shipped like same day or in 2 days. Well, they deliver a better pharmacy experience, and they deliver it directly to your door. Plus, it works with most insurance plans. I've used Amazon Pharmacy before, and it's just as easy as you would expect. Just like using the Amazon app to buy stuff and it just arrives at your house quickly, same with Amazon Pharmacy. It helps you save time, money, and stay healthy. There's transparent pricing so you know what you'll pay before you pay it. Isn't that great? Rather than just get to the drugstore and they tell you, oh, that'll cost hundreds of dollars, you can actually know before you're there paying for it. Prime members can save up to 80% on their prescriptions. And like I mentioned earlier, Amazon Pharmacy works with most insurance plans. And if you ever have questions or problems, real pharmacists are always available at Amazon Pharmacy, no matter what time of day or night. Your medication gets delivered to your door, so there's no more rushing out to the store hoping to get there before they close. A pharmacy that works for your life with meds delivered to your door. It doesn't get any better than that. So switch to Amazon Pharmacy and save time, save money, and stay healthy. You can learn more at amazon.com/insider. That's amazon.com/insider. That link is also in the show notes. Amazon.com/insider. Average savings based on usage or inside RX data as compared to cash prices. Average savings for all generics are 78%, 37% for select brand medicines, and restrictions apply. And speaking of prescriptions, you should get those prescriptions from a doctor that you find on ZocDoc. ZocDoc is an incredible free app where you can find doctors in your area, both general practitioners and specialists, and you can make sure they take your insurance before you go. Again, ZocDoc is a free app. It shows you doctors who are patient-reviewed, take your insurance, and are available when you need them. The ZocDoc mobile app is easy as ordering a ride to a restaurant or getting delivery. Again, like I just said. And find and review local doctors. You can read verified patient reviews from real people who made real appointments. And when you walk into that doctor's office, you're all set to see someone in-network who gets you. So go to ZocDoc.com, find the doctor that is right for you, and book an appointment in person or remotely. They do the telehealth too, and works for your schedule. Every month, millions of people use ZocDoc, and I'm one of them. It's the easiest way to book an appointment with a doctor. It's my go-to whenever I need to find one. So go to ZocDoc.com/AppleInsider, download the free ZocDoc app, and then start your search for a top-rated doctor today. Many are available within 24 hours. That's super quick. That's ZocDoc.com/AppleInsider. ZocDoc.com/AppleInsider. Our thanks to ZocDoc for sponsoring this episode. Okay, well, let's get to something, well, maybe more positive. iPadOS 16.1 looks to be released by the end of October. Mark Gurman of Bloomberg, he's got all the event predictions and device launches. He's been pretty accurate recently. He says the week of October 24th which is the very last week in October, minus the 31st, which is a Monday.
Right.
But he says the last week of October, we're going to see 16.1. I will say I've been updating to every developer beta as it comes out. There was a new one earlier this week. It was developer beta 12, I believe. It had been pretty buggy, even with the latest ones. Yeah. And I know Federico Vitici and others who have been really using Stage Manager since it's been released at WWDC, saying this is not ready. That Stage Manager is very, very buggy, crashes often, can make the iPad restart. And that's like the latest beta, like this week. And so Apple basically has less than 2 weeks, maybe, or just about 2 weeks to fix whatever bugs are there. But yeah, not so good. Are you running the beta on an iPad?
Yes, but not so much that you'd notice. I installed it to check a feature for parity with macOS Ventura that I was writing about, and whatever it was, it did it, and it was fine. And I've just left it there. I occasionally remember to let it update, but not very often. Whereas with the Mac one, because that's what I'm writing about most, I've been taking every single beta update. So I'm on beta 13 of macOS Ventura, and there's a couple of bugs in there that are driving me spare, and I can't understand how anybody in Apple Park is not being driven spare by these same things as well, and trying to get them fixed. 13 betas in. I mean, not brand new features, just small little stuff that's demonstrably wrong, and I put in feedback about it, and it's a massive job. I can't conceive of how big a task this is, but it does feel that this year it's not as smoothed out and finished as perhaps Monterey was or something. I don't know why.
Yeah, because Ventura, I don't know the current state of the settings app, but Ventura is also supposed to launch this month. I imagine it'll all come out at the same time. iPadOS 16.1, macOS Ventura. So we will see. We'll see how it all shakes out.
I would actually like to know this. I'm starting to wonder if I'm the only person who's got this. I was trying to explain the bug that was bothering me, and I realised afterwards, clearly the person I was talking to, who is on the beta, didn't get it. So therefore, they haven't had this problem. But my problem is this. Every time I have to restart the Mac for any reason or boot it up in the morning, there will be one of between 4 and 5 apps that come up asking for permissions to access various things. But the thing is, all 5 of them, I've given them the permissions about 30 times now. And when you go into the system settings says they have the permissions. You have to undo it and then redo it to get them in. And it's becoming a pain. Sometimes that will happen, but the apps don't warn you. So you're thinking, Text Expander was doing it to me today. Why isn't Text Expander expanding textily? And it was because permissions had, not been switched off, but Text Expander had been told they'd been switched off, and I wasn't warned, so it's just trying to get things sorted out.
But that's on the beta, Ventura.
It's on the beta, beta 13. Oh, notice you've just got me saying beta instead of beta.
Oh,
I've gone native. Okay.
You should have Apple Cash now. You're basically an American. I have not experienced that. I know, like that paste issue that was happening with iOS 16 on the iPhone, where it's just like prompting to allow paste access from every application, even like its own application. So there's a lot of bugs like that. I will say system permissions on Mac can get pretty hairy. Even things like screen recording.
Yeah.
If you're having to do like a Zoom call or something and you need to share the screen, Zoom has to have screen recording permissions in system settings. And sometimes it feels like that can be a little finicky. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not running the macOS beta on anything, so I've not had that specific issue, but I do hope that gets fixed, because that would be a challenge. Even like recording like we are right now, different browsers have to have microphone and camera permissions and all that. So yeah, that would not be fun. No. I wanted to mention quickly, we have an article on the site comparing the Google Pixel Watch to Apple Watch Series 8. It's a really good side-by-side if you just kind of want to add a glance of the differences from price, which the Pixel Watch is $350, Series 8 starts at $400, so $50 difference. But all the different settings, even the health sensors that are available, it's a good side-by-side. And I've been seeing some initial reviews of the Pixel Watch that the battery life might be a concern because it is smaller. There's only one size Pixel Watch, which is the 41 millimeter, and that the battery life might be a little spotty, especially with the always-on display on. So check out that article. I was curious, William, I haven't talked to you since all this stuff came out. What were your thoughts on the Pixel Watch when it came out? It's a very different look.
I think it looks very nice. I didn't know about the battery thing, and of course, because it runs Android, I'm never going to use it. But I thought it looked very attractive. And I'm still, even after all these, I like the round face instead of Apple's squared off thing. Except many years ago now, I actually wore an Android watch for a while, and it had the round face. And it looked brilliant until it would pop up with some sort of dialogue. It would ask you some sort of question, but the dialogue would be a rectangle in a circular screen. So some of the words would be off the screen, and the yes or no button would definitely be off the screen. So there was no physical way to know what you were doing or how to do it if you ever guessed what you were doing. So I felt like, this is not the Apple way of thinking through how things are used. It's just round screens are nice. We'll have one of those. And actually, this is seriously one of the things that bothers me about Android. It feels like, we can do this, so let's do it. Not, does it actually work then?
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm with you. Like, the round watch looks good at a glance. There is a lot of bezel on there. And so faces that are like blacked out on the back, it can look nice because the bezel's not as noticeable. But when you have a screen on that Pixel Watch where it's like a white background or something color, like it definitely, you notice it. So,
but it looked very nice in the demo. Yeah.
Yeah.
That never happens. I don't know why I'm okay. Yes, but I was briefly intrigued. Let's say
briefly, yeah. No, I mean, it looks good. I mean, the crown looks good. Like, it looks more like a watch than a computer. I think that's the bottom line, and that's a nice change. But we'll see in practice how useful. I wanted to ask you, William, what your thoughts are, if you have any, on MagSafe battery packs, because I've gotten a few here. I've been trying them out because my iPhone 14 Pro battery. You didn't get one, by the way, did you? Did you get a 14 Pro yet?
No.
Okay, just checking out. This is my bi-weekly check-in to see if you've
didn't get an Ultra watch either. No.
Oh, okay.
No. Did you get an iPhone 14 Plus this week or whatever it was as
No.
well?
No, I did not. But supposedly that has better battery life than my 14 Pro. So I've been looking at MagSafe battery packs because my 14 Pro, which I've turned off the always-on display.
Oh.
I'm off on that now. I'm not doing it anymore. And my battery life has been better, noticeably better. So keeping that off for now. We'll see if any software fixes in the future fix that. But we're looking at MagSafe battery packs because of this. And so I got a few. I've had the Apple MagSafe battery pack since it came out, and everybody, dunked on it because it was like, it's barely any milliamp hours and it's a piece of garbage. So I was like, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to use it often and I'm going to see how it works. Plus I got a couple Anchor ones and a Mophie. And I just got some thoughts. I really like MagSafe battery packs because no cable. You just slap it on the back of your phone and it's charging, which is really convenient. The Mophie one, I got the Mini Juice Plus, I think, and it's very tall. It even has a lip as a part of the battery pack to make an affordance for the camera bump, which on the 14 Pro specifically, it actually obscures the lens because it's so tall. It was made for the 13 and 13 Pro models. And on those, where the camera bump is smaller, it doesn't obscure it. But on the 14 Pro, it does. I think on the Pro Max, it would be fine. But it's a little too tall. So I went to the Anchor ones. Anchor's got two that I tried. One is I think the 622, which is just a plain, slim MagSafe battery pack. It's about as thin as Apple's. It's 5,000 milliamp hours. Got the little button on the bottom, USB-C, little light indicators for charge. I like it. It gets very hot when charging, and I don't like when things get hot on my phone.
No.
I live in Florida, and I try to avoid heat, as much as possible. Plus battery health. I wasn't crazy about that. I like the size. I like the look. You can get multiple colors. Not crazy about the heat. There's another Anchor one that has a built-in kickstand. It's called the Mag Go. That's pretty fun. And you can, has like a little built-in kickstand, has the same USB-C connector, light indicators. Doesn't get as hot as the small one, which I like, but it's definitely thicker. So it adds some bulk. And so my conclusion was, I know this might be an unpopular opinion, but I actually like Apple's MagSafe battery pack the best because it doesn't get hot. It provides enough charge where it gets me through the rest of the day if I'm running low. And it's very slim and also very secure. So that was my conclusion. And I know everybody dunked on it initially, but I still think it's pretty good. Wes, I know, thought it was pretty good too. But William, have you ever tried any of these MagSafe battery packs?
No. My battery on my 13 Pro is almost always all I need for the day. I've noticed recently, depending on certain tasks and jobs, yes, I've got twitchy towards the end of the day as it's got low, but I haven't actually gone to nothing. Or I mean, I have plenty of external batteries that I occasionally carry around with me. I remember Apple's first smart battery cover, the one that everybody thought was so ugly because it was bulbous, but then liked it. I had that.
Yes.
I liked that for a while, but I haven't needed this. But I'm aware of MagSafe packs, but you're making me fancy one.
They're pretty fun. The Apple one is just, it's $100, which I think is too expensive. You know, all these Anchor ones are like $50 or $40. But one of the other things is Apple's is the only one that is MagSafe certified. So it can do like the 7.5 watt charging, and it can even do 15 watt when it's plugged in. And because of that, all the other ones are basic Qi charging, which is 5 watts. So it's slower. And that's also why it gets hotter, I think, because of the non-MagSafe charging. But there is now one, MagSafe certified charger battery pack like this. A listener, Tim, who does the iPad Pros podcast, sent me the link. This is a Zag power station wireless stand with MagSafe. It is designed with MagSafe compatibility, but this thing is massive. It is like very, very big. It's almost like a power bank like you would get, but it is MagSafe. It's charged with USB-C. It has a kickstand, but it sits like low on the phone. So it basically gives your phone a huge chin, which would be fine if you want it on a desk as it's like standing. And so it's elevated a little bit. But this is not something I would want to hold with my iPhone and use my iPhone while it's on the back. Also $130 for this, which if it's even more expensive than Apple's. It does have a ton of charging. It's got a lot of battery because it is much bigger. So if you want just like the most battery you can get and MagSafe, slap it on the back of your phone, I guess it would be a good option. Maybe if you're traveling, and because it's MagSafe, it'll charge a little faster than the other Qi. But I wouldn't go for this. This is very big.
I just tried searching Amazon UK for the Mophie MagSafe, and it's changed it to searching for Sophie MagSafe, which sounds like a great character. Yeah, you can trust Sophie MagSafe.
Now starring in the Apple TV Plus original TV show, Sophie MagSafe.
Coming soon to Blu-ray and DVD, but possibly only in the UK. That's another story. Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that because that was just broke right before we recorded, was that Apple is releasing several of their shows like See, For All Mankind on Blu-ray disc.
Just to be careful, it's not actually Apple. Someone has licensed the shows to a UK firm. Oh. Apple's got to be involved. It's got to be contractually allowed, but it's not them outsourcing. There are too many different production companies for it to be individual. I don't know how it's working, but that company is definitely a UK-based one, and they've only put on Amazon Co. UK one of the shows for it. So there's a chance it's not going to go in the States because it looks like it's a small distributor, but they might make it region free as well. So we still don't know. I've reached out to them actually to ask and just haven't heard back, but as soon as we know.
Okay. So this is interesting. These are actually not the first. I didn't realize. So Defending Jacob, which was the drama starring Chris Evans, a very good show. I mean,
and On the Rocks, Sofia. Back to Sofia. Near enough. Sofia Coppola's. I was going to say an excellent film. I really enjoyed it, but it doesn't. Maybe not her best, but a really good film that's been out on DVD and Blu-ray too.
Yeah, and you can buy it like on Amazon right now. At least I'm looking at the Defending Jacob one. So, or not the first time, but interesting that Apple's doing it. You don't see really other streaming services even letting their stuff. Like you can't buy Stranger Things on disc, I don't think, or other. You can get Game of Thrones, I think. And let me know, listeners, if you're going to buy any of those Apple shows on Blu-ray, but also what MagSafe battery packs you're using. I'm curious. I want to hear. And also what MagSafe wallets. That was the question from Brian Barletta. He was looking for a MagSafe wallet that doesn't fall off. I guess his Apple wallet does not stick on very well. And I have not tried other MagSafe wallets. I had Apple's, and Apple seemed fine. I was using a case. I asked Brian if he was using a case, and he said, Apple Care is my case. That's who it was who said it. So, and that might be why. I think if you have a silicone or leather case on your iPhone, the MagSafe wallet is a little more sturdy. But yeah, let me know, listeners, if you use a MagSafe wallet that stays on. That's not Apple. I'm curious if there's other brands out there. This episode is brought to you by Tart Cherry Gummies. Listen, so many of us are busy with our schedules and we're just trying to find ways to get a little more healthy in the routine. I love my Super Beats Heart Chews that promote heart health, Well, the same people that came out with a great way to tackle post-workout inflammation. I don't go to the gym and like lift heavy weights, but I do swim here in my pool. And after that workout, I love having a tart cherry gummy. They're an easy way to reduce inflammation from exercise and support your metabolic health. These gummies are made with clinically studied tart cherry extract that is up to 40 times more concentrated than many other tart cherry extracts. Just 2 tart cherry gummies are the antioxidant equivalent of 16 ounces of tart cherry juice or 100 cherries. And they're vegan, non-GMO, have 0 sugar, and they're delicious. They're formulated by a team of scientists led by a Nobel Prize-winning doctor. Tart cherry has been clinically studied to support metabolic health. And again, they have 0 sugar, but honestly, they're kind of like having a little candy after a workout. I love taking them. I take one out of the fridge. My wife even enjoys having them, and they taste great. I really like cherry stuff, like cranberry juice and stuff. I mean, I love cherry flavored things anyways, but tart cherry gummies are delicious. And they come with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Try them risk-free for 90 days. See how you feel. If you don't love them, you can send them back, no questions asked. Right now, you can get up to 35% off tart cherry gummies plus free shipping at mytartcherry.com/AppleInsider. This is their best offer available anywhere. That's mytartcherry.com/AppleInsider for up to 35% off tart cherry gummies. mytartcherry.com/AppleInsider. That link is also in the show notes. Our thanks to My Tart Cherries for sponsoring this episode. All right, I want to talk to you about a couple of big things here. First, VR. Don't you have some source that's told you the release date for the Apple VR headset?
Yes, but I'm not telling you.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. You're going to become a famous Twitter leaker, right? You're going to put the release on Twitter.
That's actually not a bad idea. Yeah, I quite like that. Yeah. Yes.
Do it.
Apple Car is Tuesday.
It's Tuesday. Okay, very good. It is going to be released before iPadOS 16.1 because it'll be more ready than Stage Manager.
I think it's going to need 16.2 for some of the software
self-driving
updates because I think the windows aren't opening properly.
It's a little buggy.
Without it. Buggy. You know, fit and finish. We're talking days.
Okay, very good. So the Apple VR, this is not really about that, but it's tangentially related. One, there was a biannual survey of teenagers that Piper Sandler does. And I thought it was interesting. Teenagers, apparently the ownership of iPhone among teenagers is up to 87%, which probably bodes well for Apple long-term. As those teenagers become adults, we'll probably continue using Apple devices. I think right now across the US, iPhone versus Android, I think iPhone is at between 60 and 70% ownership. And so if teenagers are at 87%, I think it bodes well for Apple. But one statistic is that the percentage of teenagers interested in VR, it was 17%, and this survey, that interest has now fallen to 14%, which I just think is interesting because of the next story with Mark Zuckerberg and the Quest Pro, that interest in VR is waning among young people, which you would think would be the biggest demographic to try a new technology like VR, but I guess they just don't care.
No, I offer that yes, this is a demographic that is, I mean, we're talking stereotypes, but stereotypically more likely to try something new. But that means they've tried it and there's nothing going on there and it's not that interesting yet. So they've moved to other things. I mean, I've worked with people who do VR dramas and creations like this. And it's all terribly fascinating and interesting. And I really admire the work they're doing. But nothing has got me wanting to go out and buy a VR set. And I think that's what Apple is going to pull off. I don't know how, but somehow they will make it have something we actually want. So it's never going to be just the hardware, it's what you can do with it, and that's what's lacking, I think, at the moment. So that's why I would imagine teenagers are bored of it because it's boring and are moving on.
So I want to hear more of your thoughts on that, because this next story, Mark Zuckerberg, he did an interview with The Verge on the Decoder podcast, and he went on to talk about the new VR device from Meta, which is the Quest Pro. The Quest Pro is their new Pro line headset. It is $1,500 for this headset. Compare that to something like the Quest 2, which has been the consumer buy it to play video games or work out in VR, which is around $300 or $400, depending on if it's on sale. Oh. This is now much more expensive. They're calling it a Pro model for $1,500. In the episode, they tried to get Mark Zuckerberg to talk about why the Pro model, why something this expensive. And the only compelling answer he gave really is to try new technologies out on the public, to be able to put technologies that can't be mass produced at a cheaper price, put it in a quote unquote Pro model and have users try these pro features and see how it could filter down. But what was interesting is Meta is partnering with Windows and really pushing on this whole metaverse idea, which I'll be honest, William, anytime I hear the metaverse, my eyes kind of glaze over a little bit. And I think I just don't, I'm like these teenagers. I just don't care. I don't care yet.
Yeah.
And Zuckerberg is like, he's betting on this really big. I mean, Meta is spending millions of dollars on R&D, developing these products. He said on the podcast, not so much that they take a loss, but that this is not hardware for profit. Like they are not trying to be a profitable hardware company. It's unclear whether or not like this is at cost. He says, if you put R&D into the pricing, then this is definitely not at cost. But that can be a little wishy-washy. If you're just talking about the actual pieces of hardware that go into making the headset, it seems like they make maybe a tiny profit, but just not a big margin. But this partnership with Microsoft, Meta and Microsoft are basically going to be trying to push the metaverse into the enterprise realm. And Zuckerberg talked about the first era of computing, meaning desktops and laptops. You had Mac versus Windows. Mac was the closed system, Windows was the open system, and by and large, when you look at market share, Windows won that era of computing. He went on to the second era of computing, being mobile devices. He directly compared iPhone versus Android. And interesting, in Zuckerberg's opinion, he says the iPhone won. The iPhone won in like mind share. Obviously, worldwide, it did not win in market share. Android is more prevalent. But when it comes to perception and also profits, the iPhone platform is much more profitable than Android. When you look at the amount of money spent in the App Store and on the hardware and all that kind of stuff, he says the iPhone won that, but it's a closed system. And Zuckerberg is saying the metaverse, is going to be the next big computing platform. I mean, he's putting it in line with desktop computers, mobile devices, and next is VR and the metaverse and AR. I'd be curious your thoughts on that specifically. And then he's saying he wants the open side of this next computing platform to win.
Oh, no.
And he is saying open, meaning Microsoft and Meta working together on the metaverse,
Yes.
and the closed system being when Apple enters the VR headset world, that will be the closed system. And Zuckerberg thinks that would be less favorable for everyone. He wants the open side of the metaverse to win, which I think is hilariously ironic that Facebook is saying that they're on the open side.
Yes.
When it comes just looking at everything Meta and Facebook does. But William, I am curious your thought. Is the metaverse the next phase of mass computing?
I've noticed people keep talking about VR and AR, and I haven't noticed you can rearrange those letters to spell out the word bollocks. And it's just...
Yeah. Okay.
I have some faith that, because I've used it a little bit and I can see the excitement of people who are developing in it, and I know these people will develop great things. Once we've got great things and that there is a great application and a use, we need the killer app is what we need for it, and it will come. I can't conceive of what it would be, but it will come.
Have you used a Quest 2 specifically?
To be honest, I don't know what it was. I put it on my head, I played the game. I got quite emotionally attached to this little blob I was trying to save the life of, but,
I've used a Quest 2, which was the latest version of the thing. I had a friend. My friend loves working out in it. What's up, Nate? He likes working out in the Quest 2 because I guess that's a cool experience.
Wow.
I feel like working out with a big headset on would be a little cumbersome, but
yeah,
you can do it. There's a big fitness application to VR. And then I did the games. I did the Star Wars game where it felt like I was force throwing stormtroopers. That was kind of cool. Does not being in a headset for extended periods of time does not appeal to me. And to try and pitch VR as an enterprise use case where you will work in VR, because this is the selling point. Zuckerberg was saying you don't have to buy 3 physical monitors and a hardware computer. You can buy an Office, or you can buy a 365 subscription from Microsoft where you have access to all of their software, and then you actually get virtual screens. So you put on this headset, like the Quest Pro or whatever future headset device is, and you have your digital virtual workspace, and you can have 3 huge monitors, or you can have 10 50-inch monitors, and your workspace is virtual, so there's not an additional cost and more monitors, and you're using cloud computing power like a remote desktop in the VR world. And so there is a actual smaller hardware cost, even if you're buying a $1,500 headset, the virtual setup would have been tens of thousands of dollars, but you're only buying one headset and then paying a subscription to Microsoft to have this virtual workspace and access to Office 365 and all that. And so that is like the enterprise selling feature they're trying to talk about.
Microsoft already does sell, I think, for enterprise customers. I mean, is it engineering tools? I can't remember. Science applications. There's something where the headset apparently is useful and expensive, but people who like it a lot. So I feel like that's already done. And the idea of spending all this money to look closer at your Excel spreadsheet, well, I don't want to knock it till I try it, but
Sure. But just like, here's my thinking. Have you ever seen the movie Office Space?
No.
Okay, it was fun in the U.S. It's cubicle working and it's a comedy and it's a whole farce on that.
Oh, right.
And historically, when you think of the titular office area with cubicles and people just droning on for 8 hours a day trying to look busy, and those kind of companies have to hire managers to walk around and make sure everybody's doing something because it's very easy not to. I feel like if this is the future, and now you have, instead of people sitting in cubicles at an office, you have people sitting in a headset in a virtual working space, even if you could feel like you're sitting on a Hawaiian beach working on 4 monitors, I mean, I have to imagine there's going to be some kind of monitoring that companies will want to know that their workers are actually doing something, not just playing Beat Saber or whatever. And it's like, are we going to have like virtual managers that basically check in and make sure everyone's doing their Excel work in the metaverse? Or they're going to be, I guess, the digital checkups to see like how many hours was spent moving a mouse in digital workspace? I don't know. It feels weird to me.
The only good thing is, I imagine you're right, but I expect someone's going to come in with a hack that sends out the signals of heavy typing or whatever the equivalent is to fool somebody while you're playing some other game. Yeah. Somebody will figure a way around it.
I understand the appeal of like, you have a 50-inch monitor in front of you as you're working, and there is a cost to that. And maybe other people would want 2 of those, or maybe, people like having 3 monitors.
Yeah.
And in a virtual space, you can basically have as many as you want with no quote unquote additional cost, unless there's some subscription to, Acer. And it says you can have up to 4 digital monitors in the metaverse. But after that, you have to pay more. Like, I could see terrible things like that happening also. And I get the appeal of feeling like you're working at a beach, I guess. And maybe that might make someone more productive. But I don't, like, all the dystopian movies are this. Like, it's all people going in VR to experience things that are not real. And I feel like it's used for nefarious use cases and work, but that it's not net positive. And I feel like Apple, when they enter this space, I mean, I guess, like that Freeform app that they announced at WWDC that was supposed to be, it's coming to iPad. It's a collaborative, like free-flowing software.
Yeah.
Yeah, Freeform. I guess in an Apple VR, Freeform could be an application where you collaborate with other people and it feels like you're in the room with them and you're drawing stuff in the air or on a virtual whiteboard. And I guess Apple could include those things, but I don't feel like Apple's going to pitch this as an enterprise product. I feel like they would lean into the Fitness Plus and Apple Arcade, maybe Apple TV, like experience entertainment in VR. But I feel like this enterprise play is weird. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, enterprise has money. Right. That's why this is going on. And Zuckerberg doesn't want an open system. He wants it to be his system, and he wants to be able to pay for it, and enterprise will pay for it. So there's a thing. There's been a lot of arts projects here in the UK, and I'm surely everywhere else as well, using VR. And a big issue for the production of them has been the physicality of if it's you have visitors coming to an arts attraction, they're training them to use the headset, giving them the experience, taking it off before they get queasy in some cases, then cleaning them. I mean, even pre-COVID, there were issues about cleanliness for it. So now it was just like you could have a 15-minute art installation, but you would lose 10 minutes in total either side, preparing it for the rest. It feels like that kind of issue needs to be solved, and a lighter, if Apple glasses ever really exists, maybe that's a hardware benefit. But I keep coming back to, I need to have a reason to put this on, and the technology is fun for a minute, but after that I've got to be able to do something useful with it, others I'm not
And
interested
yeah,
in.
and I also find the whole open argument to be hilarious from Facebook because
Yes, I mean with Windows in
and
there
it's
as
like,
well. Yeah.
sure, open
Yes.
VR as long as Meta gets all of your eye tracking data and other
Yeah.
privacy
Yes.
invasion type of stuff. And it's like,
Eye tracking. Yeah, they'll be able to see as your eyes read the blue screen of death text. Fatal exception error at. Oh yeah,
oh,
they'll
you have to open
know.
the Windows Task Manager. I mean, there is eye tracking because that's necessary for VR, and like just imagine
Mm,
the privacy implications. I mean, there were already rumors. I never knew how accurate it was, but that an app can see where you're looking on screen as you scroll social media to know what you're actually interested in. Even if you don't tap on it, it could know where you look. I mean, that would literally be the kind of information that a VR headset would allow because you are looking at
yeah.
as you turn your head and as you look at things in VR, your interests and motivations are clearly apparent, and that information can be gleaned for advertising. And like that just again, when it comes to what are the benefits of an open system, I mean, I don't know if that's enough of a benefit to say like I don't know. It's just I'm not sure.
But you
It's a
think Mark Zuckerberg's interested in advertising? He's not just looking for the common good and the future of humanity and art for art's sake
well,
kind of thing.
again, if how is it going to be profitable? In the interview, Zuckerberg also admitted that they've lost, billions of dollars because of Apple's app tracking transparency and ask the app not to track.
Mm.
And so they're not making money on the hardware either if they're saying that these are not like margin-based hardware sales. I guess yes, the income can come from enterprise and that use case, but I have to imagine like when someone buys a VR headset from Meta in the future, there's going to be some kind of monetization platform. It could be subscriptions,
Yeah.
but you better believe, you talk about Apple's 30% cut because of a subscription and app payment. If you're in a Meta VR headset and you want your software to be purchasable by users, you better believe Meta's going to take a cut, and it's not going to be 5%. I think they would just as quickly say, oh yeah, we're open system. Anyone can have an app here, but also 30% transaction fee whenever someone makes a purchase in VR. I don't know. I'm curious, listeners, what you think about this. I'm not excited yet for VR. I'll get excited when Apple releases one and tells us why, like it's compelling. But I don't know.
I'm with you on the fact that we'll wait for Apple, but I think it's interesting. We kind of unthinkingly assume it is going to be Apple that gives us a reason to use this. It's not going to be Meta.
Yeah.
It's not going to be Microsoft either. I would like there to be other companies than Apple doing it, and yet it is going to be Apple. If anyone, it will be Apple. So
Well, and it's. I'm sure that Amazon will get into the VR space if it gets big. Samsung will make their stuff. I'm sure there'll be like Huawei and stuff like that. It's interesting because Microsoft had a HoloLens. They were doing this before anybody else, and they are giving up that hardware endeavor and just partnering with Meta, which is an interesting move from a company like Microsoft that has the R&D, the funds, and the size to do their own thing. And they're saying, nah, we'll just partner with Meta. Like that seems odd. Let us know what you think, listeners. I'm really curious about this, but I want to touch lastly real quick on this fake podcast. So this a company called Play.ht
oh yeah,
basically used artificial intelligence to create an interview podcast between Joe Rogan and Steve Jobs. Neither of these people were present, obviously. I mean, obviously Steve Jobs could not, but Joe Rogan did not record anything for this. Everything said in this quote unquote podcast, which went for 24 minutes, was generated by artificial intelligence. The entire conversation, every question, every response, totally AI generated from sound bites and clips from both Joe Rogan and Steve Jobs. And, the AI was given information about these people, trained on their biography, like the biography of Steve Jobs and recordings of Jobs. And so this podcast is between these two people, never happened in reality, totally AI generated. I listened to it, and on one side, it's like, this is ridiculous because it's obviously a computer speaking for these people. Like there's awkward laughs and doesn't feel natural. Like it feels like an uncanny valley audio recording. It feels fake, but also slightly concerning because 10 years of this technology, like 10 years from now, and it might be a very convincing thing where you hear someone say something, quote unquote, on a podcast. and it's really just artificial intelligence. And this has been a larger conversation. A lot of other shows have talked about artificial intelligence generated artwork, where you can basically feed a couple prompts into an AI and they generate art and graphics that are very compelling. Sometimes they can even follow a style like Miyazaki's anime style, and an AI can generate stuff in that style. And it's like, what are the implications of this long term? But I don't know. What do you think as you listen to this weird podcast?
I didn't make it very far through because it felt like
Same.
I realised I don't know Joe Rogan's voice well enough to know whether it worked or not. With Steve Jobs, it sounded like Steve Jobs. It sounded like a collection of recordings of Steve Jobs and somebody pressing a button for this sentence now. This sentence fits near enough, that'll do. Press that one. Rather than what you said, the natural flow of conversation wasn't there. I mean, I obviously don't like it. I don't like the fakery of it. But I do know AI artists, and they, you can argue that it's the AI that produces the work, but it isn't. It's the artists telling it what to do, programming it, adjusting it, massaging it and things. It is a creative output from the artist using AI as a tool. And I imagine you could argue that this is the same, but because it's using real people, well, apparently using real people, then it crosses over into troublesome deep fake kind of areas for me. Yes.
Right. And the deep fake, have you seen like some of the Tom Cruise deep fake videos?
Yeah.
I mean, they are
it's
wild. And again, it's borders on concerning because it's like you can have someone where it looks like Tom Cruise saying a thing and even doing a thing. And it's like, there's video footage of this. It has to be true. Like, actually, it's all deepfake technology. So that is concerning. But this, I think to your point, the AI has to be given the raw materials to create this thing.
Yeah.
And those raw materials is actually what is valuable. I mean, this would not be interesting if not for Steve Jobs, the person who spoke for hours in events and on recordings and interviews, and also Joe Rogan, where there's, literally hours per episode of him talking. And so the AI has plenty of data to crunch and make this fake sounding interview. But it is an interesting question that I think we're going to have to wrestle with over the next decade of what is real in some cases, what is like valuable, like copyright and trademark stuff. I mean, if there was a podcast that you could get called the AppleInsider podcast, and it was William's voice and my voice talking for an hour about topics that we talk about, but it wasn't us, and it might trick people into thinking that it is us, like that's concerning. I wouldn't want.
What if they preferred it?
That exactly. That would be terrifying. Like,
yes.
No, don't want that. And there's going to have to be basically all new laws in place, I would think, for AI generated content and what it can mimic and how to distinguish the real from the generated. Like, that's weird, right?
Yeah, I do have one hope, though. There used to be, it's so long since anybody heard it, would anybody remember this, but there used to be quite a common phrase that the camera never lies. Right. And we know that's absolute nonsense, and we know it so well. Nobody ever says that anymore. We are aware of this going on, and I think that's what will help us get through it.
Yeah. Listen, if you're out there and you have some AI generator, don't generate anything of William and I, please. Don't do it. Well, I won't speak for William. Do you? I don't want anything generated of my voice. I assume you wouldn't want your voice spewing whatever out there.
No, I can't say that I would. I just think, what if me was really clever and funny, and maybe went off and went on speaking tours while I just had cups of tea back in my office.
What?
Yeah. Hey, I should probably shut up now. Okay. Right.
What if they could make an AI generated William Gallagher that could star in a movie and is actually an Oscar worthy performance? The AI generation of William Gallagher wins the Oscar, but then you, the person William Gallagher, accept the Oscar because it was based on you.
Right. That's just so many levels of unbearable prospects there. But me on a 70-foot IMAX screen. Yeah, nobody wants that. So, okay.
No, I think everybody wants it. Listen, if AI is the only way I can become an EGOT, I'd be down for it.
Right. I'm not 100% sure what an EGOT is. That sounds like Egypt.
No. An EGOT, EGOT, is someone who wins an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony.
Oh,
yes,
right.
There's only like 30-something of them.
Okay, a Tony as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Listen, if there can be an AI-generated version of me singing as Jean Valjean for a Broadway production of Les Mis, go for it.
Yeah.
I'd watch that. I'd watch myself doing that. Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's not true. This is so weird. This conversation just gets so weird. I don't even know where to go.
Yeah, this is the new format, isn't it? The follow-ups, then the news, and then the deterioration into madness. I like the way you've done that.
Yeah. We will pull out of this descent into madness, and we'll say, listeners, I would like to know your thoughts on VR and AI-generated podcasts. So weird. But anyway, tweet at William and myself. Let William know what fake movie you'd like to see him starring in as an AI-generated character. And then give us a 5-star rating. Let us know what you think of the format and the descent into madness. And of course, you could support the show. Maybe we'll make a madness-free version of the episode, or maybe you can you have to pay for the madness.
A short one. Okay.
Yeah, maybe you have to pay extra for the madness at the end of the episode. You can do that at patreon.com/AppleInsider or directly in Apple Podcasts. Madness-free or madness included. Let me know what you'd like. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next time.